Man, y'all, I'll tell you one thing. The enemy did not want me to make that message. So, I'll record it again for you guys. Because it's such good news. I can repeat it. So, I just wanted to come on here and share with all of you some really just good praise news that God's been doing in my life recently. So, let's just start with Sunday. Sunday at church was a shifting day, to say the least. It wrecked me. The message at church wrecked me. We're going over Hebrews at my church right now, and we went over some verses in Hebrews chapter 2, and the focus of our message was about drifting, Christians drifting, and some takeaways that I got from that message were that all that we have to do to drift is nothing, because there's always a current. The world is always pushing and pulling a current, and so all we have to do to float away from Jesus is nothing. We don't do anything. And that doesn't mean we float away from our salvation or we lose salvation. It's more so in the closeness of a relationship with Jesus that we tend to drift away. And so, just like any relationship on earth you'd have with a friend, with a family member, if you don't talk to them for a long expanded period of time, you're not going to know what's going on in their life. You're going to have to catch up a lot next time you see them, and it may even just feel a little stiff and awkward and just not the same. So with Jesus, thankfully, all we have to do is turn back, and he knows us. He knows exactly where we are. It's not the exact same, obviously, as an earthly relationship, but there are some similarities, and I definitely took that away and was super convicted just by the message. So much so that I ended up going up to the pastor after church, because I was going to find someone to pray over me, because I was wrecked, y'all. I was so wrecked and just torn apart, and really just needed to end that church service with someone praying over me. And so I asked the pastor, after I ended up crying in front of him because we were introducing and I was talking about myself, and then he was just like, let's go pray. And I was like, good idea, that sounds good. So he ended up praying over me, and I just shared with him where I've been and what I've been struggling with, and just the past few months of my life and all the things, more surface level, not surface level, but not every little detail, just an overview. So he got the gist and he started praying over me, and that was such a blessing. And then later that day I came home, and somehow I ended up in my room. I think I just needed to get away, some alone time with God, and I think I started praying, and I don't know, somewhere out of nowhere I just started panicking a little bit, because I was trying to root myself in the gospel, and I was trying to think about the gospel, and I felt during this time that my brain was just so foggy, I couldn't process the gospel almost, and I mean a lot, just it was not hitting me, it wasn't affecting the way I felt or anything like that. And so for me, that caused me to freak out a bit, and I texted some friends, but then only other thing I knew what to do after praying was open my Bible. So I grabbed my Bible, my weapon. Don't get it twisted. This is a weapon, y'all. This is the sword of the Spirit. So I grabbed it and I went to Romans 12, where it talks about Paul's thorn. And I just read it out loud a few times, I think. And then that was a wave of comfort of just okay, just being reminded of the fact that Paul suffered so much, and it kept him humble. I love that verse where it says it kept him from boasting in himself, where he instead boasted about Christ. But in his weakness, he is strong, because Christ's power is made perfect in our weakness. And so after that, I went to Galatians 2:20. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. And then from there, I just read through all of Galatians and just read it out loud, just to read it and soak it up. Went over all of the armor of God and walking by the Spirit, and all of those good things. And then I ended up after that, I think, just praying and pouring it all out to God, and coming to a place of just absolute surrender. And there have been many times where I have chosen to vocally and like I've wanted to fully surrender to God, but I have noticed even after, especially on Sunday, that there's always been this 2%, it feels like, of what I've held on to, and that's in those surrendering moments of what comes to mind for me is just like the future or like scary things God could call me to, that would cause me to be uncomfortable, or maybe conflict with people in my life. Like it could just shake a lot of things up that I'm not comfortable with thinking about. And so like part of me would hold on to those things like internally, and then everything else God could have. I wouldn't say that, but I would definitely, inside hold on to it. I could feel it. And so on Sunday, I was just at a place where I was so at the end of myself, I couldn't even like bear to hold on to anything else. I was terrified to let go, but I told God, like, I am so scared to do this, but I can't bear not giving you every piece of my life. It shows that I don't trust you fully in these areas, and I can't live a life where I don't fully trust you and give you every detail of my life, big or small, and so it was a really hard moment, but I kid you not, that was like the moment I felt like the switch of freedom, I feel like, and just like relief like no other. It was that genuine heart decision and switch. So, like God finally helped me to just like release it to him. And I spiritually have just like been floating almost, I feel like, since then. It doesn't mean like there haven't been temptations and stuff to come up still, but like I'm so much more grounded and rooted. And anyways, I was like, okay, like habits gotta change, like I gotta prioritize my time in the Word, but not for the purpose of checking it off on a box. I just want to get to know my God, and I want his Word to change me and transform who I am into who he's calling me to be. And just remember, like, that's what reading the Word is about, is growing that relationship with Jesus and getting to know him and filling our mind with truth, that we may know truth and he may transform us by the truth, and slowly sanctify us. So anyways, just reestablishing like habits every day and sticking to those and just really seeing the fruit of that already has been so amazing. And yeah, I just wanted to come on and encourage and share that that God is not far, and it is really easy for us as Christians, for me it has been easy, surprisingly, to drift in my heart. Like I have been outwardly doing the right things, staying in community, reading the Word, and I wouldn't even say I was a place where I was completely gone from my faith in that sort of drift, but I was heading that way. I could tell, like, if I wouldn't have addressed it or kept digging into it, I would have gone so far. And it is God's grace that kept me even where I was up until Sunday, I think, and placed me where I needed to be to hear that message and for him to do that work in me. So everything he used, and I just wanted to encourage whoever's watching this with that too, that he is so perfect in his timing and his ways, and he is not far. He will not ever let go of you if you're his child. And then also a quote that I heard at my small group last night that was so good. I'm going to not say it correctly, but I'm going to paraphrase it. Was, it is not your grip on the gospel that keeps you close to God. It is God's mercy that holds you close to himself, something like that. And that was just so good and spoke so much to me. I'm sorry, my cat is a menace. It spoke so much to me because on Sunday, like, right, I was telling you, like, I could not, like, process the gospel. I was trying to grip it so hard. Like, I need it to, like, resonate and sit with me. I need to, like, be renewed by this. And, like, yes, absolutely. But I was trying so much in my own strength to, like, grab hold of it and refresh it and renew myself. Instead of, like, asking God. And, like, when I opened the Word and used my weapon, that's when things changed. When I surrendered and, like, gave it to God, that's when things changed. So, yeah, it is his work. It is his strength. It is his mercy and his grace that keeps us moving forward. And it is our effort, because it can't just be one-sided, but he strengthens us and he holds on to us and he pulls us back and he draws us back to himself every day. We just get to say yes and obey that calling. So, yeah, give yourself grace. Continue to turn to him, confess, repent, stay in community, stay in the Word. Seriously, like, I'm telling myself all of this too. Stay in the Word. stay in communication with God, be vulnerable with your community, and don't give up. Keep persevering. Keep fighting the good fight. It is not in vain, and the Lord will prevail, and He will get us through. So I hope and pray that encourages whoever watches this, or inspires, or anything like that. I had to share. I could not keep it to myself, and I hope that this clip saves and is able to be uploaded to YouTube. But praying for whoever's watching this. I love you. Have a great day or night whenever you're watching.